Now at 9, the Missouri Highway Patrol investigates the cause of a multiple fatality crash on I-44. And the Joplin City Council votes on whether to allow some urban deer hunting.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Missouri Highway Patrol is investigating a fatal crash on I-44 that killed multiple people and left a community in mourning. This is KOAM News at 9. I'm Dow Quick. That crash happened yesterday afternoon in Crawford County, Missouri. Authorities say a motorhome traveling through the median struck another vehicle. The collision caused both vehicles to catch fire. All 4 people, 2 in each vehicle, died in that crash. In a statement following the crash, the Crawford County, Kansas Sheriff's Office says, quote, "Our hearts go out to the families forever changed by this heartbreaking event. No inconvenience or delay can compare to the loss and grief they are now facing," end quote. Authorities say all 4 people were in their 60s. Let's check in with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney now for a first look at the weather.
Well, we have already another round of strong storms. I know we thought we were out of severe weather season, but hopefully one last severe weather threat and then we're done. Now, we are under a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe storms tomorrow, mainly tomorrow evening after midnight. That lasts until Wednesday as well. Now, currently, we're looking pretty good. Clouds are all starting to clear out of here. As we head into Tuesday, we're starting early morning off, mostly clear skies, but muggy. Clouds roll in pretty quickly by about 8 to 9 a.m. and then it's going to be hot and muggy all morning long. Going to get a few showers possible from 10 to about 1 p.m. and then our second round coming in after midnight on Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. So we got our first chance of isolated showers, but then once we get into Wednesday morning, we're going to see that skyrocket chance for severe storms. But I'm going to have a full look coming up.
See you soon. The future of Joplin public transportation took center stage during a public meeting in Carl Junction tonight. JATSO, the Joplin Area Transportation Study Organization, announced the kickoff for updating the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, including the launch of an online community survey, and invited the public out to weigh in on the topic. The organization held the event as part of a series of public open houses, complete with interactive exercises with maps and graphics and information about the project. The next meeting will be held tomorrow night in Webb City at the Mining Days Community Building, then Wednesday in Joplin at the City Hall 5th floor council chambers. Both meetings are scheduled to take place from 4:30 to 7 in the evening. Seems some limited deer hunting will be permitted in Joplin city limits. The Joplin City Council tonight gave final approval to a proposal to allow bow hunting for deer, but only in limited locations, times, and circumstances. The proposal passed on second and third readings tonight by a vote of 6 to 3. The ordinance is to help curb the growing number of deer vehicle collisions in Joplin. A meet and greet event in Humboldt, Kansas tonight allowed lawmakers and constituents to meet face to face. Community members and organizations were able to speak with legislators about the big issues, from tariffs to the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. KOAM Samantha Walker has more.
In Southeast Kansas, community members and organizations alike see the impact legislative actions can have on the workforce, housing, and child care.
I think they've done a very good job in the past with us supporting the various programs, but with all the funding cuts that are coming down, it's a scary time. And, taxes continue to go up.
Southeast Kansas Inc. is an organization that emphasizes community growth in the area. The organization invited more than half a dozen state and federal legislators who represent the area to an organized meet and greet. Lawmakers could hear directly from community members about their thoughts on issues that impact them. It's also an opportunity for representatives like Congressman Derek Schmidt to offer their take on the big issues, from tariffs.
If I were the quarterback on the team, I wouldn't have called this play. I'm not a big tariff guy, but I understand why the president called it. Certainly we need to stand up and make sure that we are not taken advantage of by our trading partners. This is the direction we're going. The president ran on this, and I think we have to do what we can to make sure that it works to the best possible advantage.
To the Big Beautiful Bill.
We have to compromise. Nobody gets their way on everything. That's true in life, it's true in legislating, and it's certainly true in the so-called big beautiful bill. There are things I don't care for about it, but on the whole, it's very, very good for our region.
But speaking with community members, lawmakers know the bill's not perfect.
One example is the so-called SALT deduction, the state and local tax deduction. I mean, I'm all about let folks have the benefit of deducting your state and local taxes, but my goodness, the current limit of $10,000 a year covers 99% of the people I represent. Our folks in New York, they want to take that deduction up to $40,000 a year. Most of the people I represent barely make $40,000 a year, if that.
For community members, it's an opportunity to make their concerns known.
We're addressing things that directly impact them. You know, that big beautiful bill is wonderful. It's got a lot of good things in it, but a lot of it might not touch us in Southeast Kansas directly. But housing, childcare, and getting workers, a strong workforce in the area, that does directly impact us in Southeast Kansas. And at the end of the day, that's what we all care about. It's our communities, our families, our employers. That's what we really need to focus on.
And a chance for these legislators to get an idea of what to take back for the next legislative session.
And when we go back to Topeka in January, I'm sure there will be a lot of discussion about what the impact of federal actions are in terms of not only your own district, but your Southeast Kansas folks and all across Kansas.
Reporting in Humboldt, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Representatives with SEK Inc. also held a presentation for the legislators where they provided information about the current state of housing, the workforce, and childcare in Southeast Kansas. 2 of the 4 candidates for Fort Scott Community College president met the public today in a community forum. The other 2 candidates participated in a forum last week. They were given a platform to discuss their view of the future and what they would bring to the college.
The community is literally in our name. We need to make sure that this process, the process of choosing a very important position to the college, is open to the community, as they will be affected by who we choose.
Fort Scott Community College, which was founded in 1919, is the oldest community college in Kansas. To date, the school has had 7 presidents. Coming up, feeling the post-vacation slump, experts say there are simple ways to reset. And the American Academy of Pediatrics is revising how doctors talk to teens about birth control. Those stories coming up in Health Watch.
And only at Ashley.
The American Academy of Pediatrics has updated its guidance on how pediatricians should talk about contraception with their teen patients. The new report covers several types of contraceptives, from long-lasting IUDs to the morning after pill. The AAP says pediatricians can be a trusted resource because of their typical long-standing relationships with families. Patients preparing for a major operation can feel okay just doing a video consultation with their doctor ahead of time. A new study from Amsterdam University Medical Center found patients will have the same level of information intake as an in-person visit and save time and money by not commuting to the doctor's office. It's time of year when a lot of families take a break, maybe get away, go on that vacation they've been planning. But when that trip ends, returning to reality can be hard. Mandy Gaither has more on how to beat the post-vacation blues.
Taking a break can be relaxing and rejuvenating, but the end of vacation can bring on the blues.
We might be having a great time and then we come back to reality, and then, we're back to the grind.
Psychologist Rachel Gableman with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says there can be a sadness as you return to a regular routine. You may be faced with loads of laundry or stacks of work and feel like there's no longer a trip to look forward to.
It can just feel like, oh, why did I bother maybe taking that vacation at all?
But Gableman says taking time off is good for our well-being, and you can beat the post-vacation blues by setting yourself up for success before you leave. Clean your house, stock your freezer and pantry so you don't have to clean and shop for groceries as soon as you return from vacation. When planning your trip, set aside a day when you get back so that you can reset before returning to work. And while you're on that trip, Live in the moment. Let yourself enjoy the time you do have off instead of thinking about having to go back home. Finally, when you do go back home, she says start planning your next vacation, even if it's just a staycation or weekend getaway.
We as humans really like to look forward to things. It is something that, might reduce our stress and help us to keep going.
Gableman says you should also set realistic expectations for how you should feel when you get home. She says it's highly probable that you'll feel down about getting back to reality, so expect that because missing your vacation just means you enjoyed your time off. And women who work at night are more likely to have asthma than women who only work during the daytime. UK researchers analyzed nearly 275,000 workers and found women who worked night shifts were about 50% more likely to suffer from moderate or severe asthma. They did not find this link for men who work at night. Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later a bipartisan bill proposes doubling the federal minimum wage. We're going to hear from a Missouri senator who's in favor.
Arts.
Well, though we started off pretty muggy this morning, we ended up having a pretty nice afternoon and evening. And you can see, taking a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, we've got clear skies for the rest of the evening and into early Tuesday. Now we are tracking some storms that are going to have the potential to move in early Tuesday and then another round late Tuesday. We've got our high pressure system off to the southwest and our low pressure system. You can see it's driving a bunch of these storms up the northern states. Now we are expecting a severe threat for us tomorrow. Right now, we've got this level 3 out of 5. That is our elevated risk for severe storms, mainly in southeastern Kansas. It has shifted a little bit over the last 24 hours, so we're going to keep an eye on that. The rest of us are under a level 2 out of 5 risk. Now our severe threat really drops off south of I-44 on Tuesday. Again, we've got these 2 rounds of storms. First round, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're expecting an isolated storm that could potentially move in and cause some severe threat. But our main risk for severe weather is going to be midnight to about 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Biggest threat that we could see, strong wind gusts, which could lead to some spin-up tornado chances. But again, our main threat is going to be our wind threat. Now we're under the black dashed lines. That's our significant threat. 4 winds, could see up to 70, maybe even higher than that, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And then out in southeastern Kansas, maybe clipping a couple of our counties out to I-49 in Missouri. Now, hail, of course, always could expect hail, but then those isolated chances, very conditional risk for tornadoes as that threat for the wind threat comes in. Now, again, first round of storms comes in or after 10 a.m. Before that, we're looking hot and muggy. It is going to be sticky outside, which is just going to add to the severe threat. By 11, we can see where our storms start to move in. And then again, our isolated storm makes it right into some of our central counties out there, but then really dissipates. Then our second round of severe storms, after these temperatures warm up to the upper 80s, adding to the instability in the area. Second round comes in after midnight. Now we've got to see a couple showers popping up a little bit before, but those aren't going to be severe. Then after midnight to 1 a.m., we've got our bow echo, which is going to drive those winds in and again, potentially cause that spin up tornado threat. Once it makes it all the way to I-44, geography breaks up that wind threat, and we're mainly just left with these heavy rainfall through Wednesday morning until about mid-morning before it clears out with lingering showers. And then we're going back to a heat risk once we get out of all the rain chances. Thursday, not too bad, minor risk, but Friday we're under a moderate risk, and then into Saturday, a major risk with heat indices reaching the low 100s. So we've got an alert day on Tuesday due to the strong to low and severe storms, and even into early Wednesday morning. But then we've got that heat risk, especially Friday and Saturday, before it starts to cool back off on Sunday.
So we have the perfect way for you to stay ahead of severe weather any time of year. Scan this QR code with your phone and head straight to the updated weather resources page on our website. You'll find information on storm shelters, weather updates, closings, road conditions. You can also find tips for watching live streams in real time. It's called the Weather Resource page. It's on KOAMnewsnow.com. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, or sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Coming up, factors impacting a local farmer's market.
The owner of a local market says due to weather and inflation, sales have been down. I'm Lonnie Walton in Newton County. I'll have that story coming up.
Of networks.
There's an optimistic reading on how Americans feel about the economy. The University of Michigan's consumer sentiment reading is suggesting Americans are more upbeat about the economy. The reading improved for the first time in 6 months. U of M's preliminary June reading rose to 60.5. Also, those surveyed do not expect inflation to rise to as drastic levels for the next year and 5 years. Big weekend for live action remakes at the box office. How to Train Your Dragon soared to the top spot in its debut, hauled in more than $83 million. Disney's Lilo and Stitch was second with more than $15 million. Romantic comedy Materialists opened third with $12 million. Raising the minimum wage has long enjoyed widespread popularity among Democrats, but now one Republican senator from Missouri is crossing party lines and proposing to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Jen Sullivan has details.
A proposal to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour is gaining traction.
The minimum wage hasn't increased in 15 years.
Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri has teamed up with Democratic Senator Peter Welch of Vermont to introduce the legislation.
I just think it's basic justice. It's time to give American workers a raise.
Right now, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour and hasn't been raised since 2009. This proposal would be more than double that rate. Several states, though, have voted to raise their minimum wages. The highest minimum wage is in the District of Columbia at $17.50 an hour, followed by Washington State, $16.66 an hour, and California's minimum wage, $16.50 an hour. But many states just use the federal minimum wage as their own. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that $7.25 in June of 2009 would be equivalent to $10.81 in 2005 when you factor in inflation. And while inflation has cooled recently, according to a recent federal report, one financial expert responding to the latest consumer price index number said Americans still feel like the cost of living is high.
Most people are most likely not looking at a purely economic sentiment reading. They're taking the assessment of their whole picture.
Here's the concern of raising the federal minimum wage. A few years ago, when the Congressional Budget Office looked at what a similar hourly increase would do to the economy, they found some low-wage workers could become jobless as business owners hired fewer workers due to rising labor costs.
Up next, a hands-on head start. See how local students are scrubbing in for a future in healthcare. Some incoming 7th and 8th grade students in Joplin are getting an inside look at healthcare careers at the Freeman Healthcare Careers Camp. It includes ambulance and air ambulance tours, introduction to CPR, OR tours, and more.
There's like a radiation room. That's like the most that we've been to so far, and then this hands-on activity.
We can use anything in nature to wrap like a wound or a broken leg or a broken arm or a broken ankle.
The camp continues at Freeman Properties and at North Middle School through Friday. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, higher prices and extreme weather. Why this season at the farmers market looks different than years past. And fans spend hours stuck in traffic only to miss the show. Why some say Thunder Ridge and Ticketmaster are passing the blame.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
Between weather and inflation, foot traffic is looking a bit different at local farmers markets. One of those is K&D Cattle in Newton County. The operator says costs from growing necessities to purchasing out-of-season products have gone up. KOAM's Lonnie Walton reports on the impact.
My favorite fruit is apples.
I like grapefruit.
favorite summertime fruit is peaches. Love nice sweet peaches.
Watermelon because it's refreshing.
We all have our favorites, and some argue they're even better from a farmer's market.
Yes, I love a farmer's market.
Local business, local farms, local support people,
That's what Than Thornburg from K&D Cattle Co. in Newton wants to hear when folks buy from local market. But this year, foot traffic looks a little different.
Yeah, overall we're down, and I'm not the only one. I've got other friends that are in the business as well, from Bentonville, Arkansas area, clear, north of Lamar and everything. Overall, that's the general census, is that sales are down right now.
The farmer says the cost of growing his own produce went up, and the fruit that many want right now is really not in season, meaning it has been shipped from somewhere else. And inflation has impacted those costs too.
Local stuff isn't on, as far as watermelon and cantaloupe, until July. So right now we're bringing it in. I got cantaloupe and watermelon out of Georgia, sometimes out of Texas and Florida.
Thornburg says unfortunately with those higher costs for him, he had to raise prices, but he still hopes people will support him and others.
If I'm bringing it in from another farm, you're still supporting that farm through our business.
And whether it's food or even flowers.
I love it. They are the best people, and they have these wonderful petunias, and they're on sale, and they've got great tomatoes in there also that I picked up.
Thornburg hopes to see folks continue helping markets thrive. Reporting in Newton County, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Joplin contacted some other Joplin area markets, KOAM did. We were told, although not all sales are suffering, the weather is putting an added burden on their produce. A ribbon cutting ceremony today marked the expansion of Pitt Plastics in Pittsburgh. It adds more than 200,000 square feet to the company's total footprint in the town. They say the expansion will allow them to grow their customer base and support future revenue, both for the company and the community. The event gave local officials and the chamber a chance to tour the space, which was completed earlier this year and is now fully operational.
It's very important to keep investing back into our existing business. We've been here since 1972. Our original owner, was Gene Bicknell, a very strong proponent of the Crawford County and Pittsburgh area, and we just want to continue his legacy.
With the new space now in use, the team at Pitt Plastics says they're focused on the future, investing in infrastructure, workforce growth, and customer service. A number of concert goers in southwest Missouri are looking for answers after they missed a big night at Bass Pro's Thunder Ridge Amphitheater near Branson. As Adam Woodbury reports, many say they were stuck in traffic for hours Friday night. Others say they were turned away at the gate after buying expensive tickets.
I think it was about 2.5 hours took us. We got about 3 miles in 2.5 hours.
Big names in music sure can draw some big crowds, and the Post Malone and Jelly Roll concert at Thunder Ridge last Friday was no exception.
So it was 41 miles, 42-minute drive under normal conditions. So we thought, an extra hour or so, and then walking to the line, getting through.
Kelly Tokar bought tickets as a Christmas gift for her daughter. They left their home in Ozark around 4:30 Friday afternoon, and it wasn't long before they hit traffic. And that's where they were for the next 3 hours.
I've never experienced anything like this. We expected some road congestion and some of those things. We were just hoping to make it there at 7:30 when we got on the road at 4:30, but we only made it to the first light.
At 7:30, Tokar said they were still 5 miles away from Thunder Ridge and decided to turn around.
We also had heard that people were being turned away for parking because there wasn't enough parking left, so that was another contributing factor for us to decide to go ahead and leave.
One of those who says she was turned away, Katie Ethington. She made the journey from Lake of the Ozarks.
I left my hotel, which was about 9 miles away from Thunder Ridge, at 6 p.m. on the 13th to get to the concert. And I didn't get into the parking lot until 10:30 p.m. And from there, the staff at the parking lot told me that all of the lots were full, and they were just kind of redirecting all of the traffic out of the parking lot because they didn't have room for anybody else.
With no parking, Ethington left. She said she's been making calls since, trying to get some money back.
To Ticketmaster, which is the website that provides the tickets for everyone. And essentially, Ticketmaster is telling people to contact Thunder Ridge because Thunder Ridge is the one with the management issue. And Thunder Ridge is saying to contact Ticketmaster because Ticketmaster is the seller.
I just think it's really disheartening, and I really feel like Bass Pro, I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. I really think that they should have already issued an apology and tried to make it right with their customers, or at least acknowledge the wrongdoing with it.
So far, no official report from Thunder Ridge Management or Bass Pro headquarters in Springfield. Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast, and coming up, a tourist crushes an art exhibit while posing for pics, and NYPD officials crush some illegal vehicles with a bulldozer. That's later in today's Take a Look at This.
Precision Dental in Jay, Oklahoma can do a single tooth implant for the arts.
Well, though we started off pretty muggy this morning, we ended up having a pretty nice afternoon and evening. And you can see, taking a look outside downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, we've got clear skies for the rest of the evening and into early Tuesday. Now, we are tracking some storms that are going to have the potential to move in early Tuesday and then another round late Tuesday. We've got our high pressure system off to the southwest and our low pressure system. You can see it's driving a bunch of these storms up the northern states. Now, we are expecting a severe threat for us tomorrow. Right now, we've got this level 3 out of 5. That is our elevated risk for severe storms, mainly in southeastern Kansas. It has shifted a little bit over the last 24 hours, so we're going to keep an eye on that. The rest of us are under a level 2 out of 5 risk. Now, our severe threat really drops off south of I-44 on Tuesday. Again, we've got these 2 rounds of storms. First round, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're expecting an isolated storm that could potentially move in and cause some severe threat. But our main risk for severe weather is going to be midnight to about 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Biggest threat that we could see, strong wind gusts, which could lead to some spin-up tornado chances. But again, our main threat is going to be our wind threat. Now, we're under the black dashed lines. That's our significant threat. 4 winds, could see up to 70, maybe even higher than that, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And then out in southeastern Kansas, maybe clipping a couple of our counties out to I-49 in Missouri. Now, hail, of course, always could expect hail, but then those isolated chances, very conditional risk for tornadoes as that threat for the wind threat comes in. Now, again, first round of storms comes in or after 10 a.m. Before that, we're looking hot and muggy. It is going to be sticky outside, which is just going to add to the severe threat. By 11, we can see where our storms start to move in. And then again, our isolated storm makes it right into some of our central counties out there, but then really dissipates. Then our second round of severe storms, after these temperatures warm up to the upper 80s, adding to the instability in the area. Second round comes in after midnight. Now we've got to see a couple showers popping up a little bit before, but those aren't going to be severe. Then after midnight to 1 a.m., we've got our bow echo, which is going to drive those winds in and again, potentially cause that spin up tornado threat. Once it makes it all the way to I-44, geography breaks up that wind threat, and we're mainly just left with these heavy rainfall through Wednesday morning until about mid-morning before it clears out with lingering showers. And then we're going back to a heat risk once we get out of all the rain chances. Thursday, not too bad, minor risk, but Friday we're under a moderate risk, and then into Saturday, a major risk with heat indices reaching the low 100s. So we've got an alert day on Tuesday due to the strong to low and severe storms, and even into early Wednesday morning. But then we've got that heat risk, especially Friday and Saturday, before it starts to cool back off on Sunday.
Lindsay, thanks. Hey, don't forget you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOIM Skywatch weather app. You can get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone. It's absolutely free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOIM Skywatch weather app. Still ahead, the Oklahoma City Thunder battled the Indiana Pacers in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Plus, a Joplin Outlaw is named Pitcher of the Week by the Mid-America League. John Dales has those stories and more coming up next in sports.
The Snake, all new Tuesday on Fox.
A new sport is coming to Missouri Southern this fall. That comes after the university's Board of Governors met at the end of last week to approve it. Missouri Southern introduces women's flag football to its campus and is the first MIAA school to do so. For the upcoming 25-26 school year, it'll be a club sport, but there are plans to elevate it to the NCAA intercollegiate varsity level. According to a press release from Southern, NCAA membership will vote in January about whether or not to include flag football as an emerging sport for women. MSSU Athletic Director Rob Mallory says they'll pay close attention to the impact of that vote and could have flag football become an NCAA varsity sport at Missouri Southern as soon as the 26-27 academic year. In summer collegiate baseball, the Outlaws have the night off after splitting a 2-game weekend series with the Sherman Shadowcats. And this afternoon, Outlaw starting pitcher Connor Johnson is named Pitcher of the Week by the Mid-America League. He was the starter in last night's 10-0 victory over Sherman at Joe Becker Stadium. Johnson went 6 2/3 innings, allowing just 4 hits while striking out 11. On the season, the rising sophomore from Oral Roberts is 2-0 with an ERA of 0.51. Over in the Mink League, tough night for the Nevada Griffins. They get shut out by the first-place St. Joseph Mustangs. Final score 13-0 after just 8 innings. In Omaha, Nebraska, we're a couple of days into the 25 College World Series. This afternoon, Arkansas finds itself needing a win to keep its season alive. Arkansas against Murray State after they both lose their first games in Omaha, and the Razorbacks get the scoring started in the top of the third with an RBI single off the bat of Chuck Davalon. It's 1-0 Hogs. But the story today is all about Arkansas starting pitcher Gage Wood. Bottom of the 4th inning, he gets a called strike 3 to end the inning. Murray State is without a base runner at this point. In other words, Wood is working on a perfect game, and that remains the case in the bottom of the 5th as he picks up his 11th strikeout. Bottom of the 6th now, same story, 18 up, 18 down for Murray State after another strikeout. We go to the bottom of the 8th. After a couple insurance runs, it's 3-0 Hogs, and this breaking ball just gets away. It hits the batter in the foot. There goes the perfect game. But no hitter is still intact, and Wood gets his 16th strikeout of the afternoon to close out the 8th inning. He is fired up, so are the Razorback fans. Now, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and he gets a swing and a miss to finish it. Gage Wood strikes out 19 and throws a no-hitter at the College World Series. He's just the 3rd player to do so and the 1st since 1960. Closing things out with a look at pro basketball, tonight is the all-important Game 5 of the NBA Finals. The Thunder and Pacers are tied at 2 games apiece. The Thunder have been in control for most of the night. They've led by as many as 18 points, but in this series, we've come to learn that that doesn't guarantee anything. As we come on the air, they're just getting started in the 4th quarter, and OKC holds an 8-point lead. That's it for sports. We're back right after this.
Posing for pics in an Italian art museum turned disastrous when a tourist ended up crushing a crystal-encrusted chair and then flew the coop. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Watch a tourist break a chair nicknamed Van Gogh, causing a big uh-oh in an Italian art museum. A statement shared by the Palazzo Maffei Museum in Italy says a pair of tourists were admiring Nicola Bola's so-called Van Gogh chair, a delicate piece covered in Swarovski crystals. The visitors were taking turns taking pics when one decided to strike a sitting pose over the chair and ended up crushing the fragile work. The unidentified pair then quickly fled the exhibit, leaving the crumpled crystal chair behind. In a statement, officials called it an art museum's worst nightmare, but said, thankfully, restorers were able to fix the piece, returning it to its glittering former glory. The museum is now sharing the cautionary tale, asking visitors to treat all exhibits with care, reminding them that art is meant to be admired, but always respected. And from a seemingly accidental crushing of property to a very deliberate one, done to send a very clear message to law-breaking motorists. Officials with the New York City Mayor's Office and the NYPD gathered on Staten Island to destroy hundreds of illegal mopeds and scooters they say were part of thousands of illegal vehicles that have been impounded for sporting untraceable fraudulent license plates or being used in alleged crimes. Officials' messaging wasn't exactly subtle. Using a massive construction bulldozer, the illegal so-called ghost vehicles were sent right to the grave, with the Mayor's Office proclaiming, when it comes to public safety, we're not just enforcing the law, we're literally crushing it. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Now, Mel Brooks blasts off, Letterman returns, and love triangles heat up the beach. What's streaming and what's coming soon in Hollywood Nation? From teen drama and political scandals to an intergalactic comeback, Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has the latest in today's Hollywood Nation.
What was her name?
Belly's summer plans take a turn. Letterman gets a renewal, and Brooks returns to space in the Hollywood Nation.
I am the keeper of a greater magic.
May the Schwartz be with us again. Mel Brooks, who turns 99 years old this month, is reprising his role as Yogurt for the new Spaceballs movie. He'll star and produce the follow-up to his 1987 cult classic comedy alongside Josh Gad. The sequel is expected to hit theaters in 2027.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
David Letterman will keep the big-name conversations coming. Netflix has renewed the Emmy Award-winning series My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman for 2 more seasons. The late-night legend will be back in the hosting chair for the 6th season, premiering later this year. Speaking of Netflix, the streamer shared a first look at The Diplomat Season 3, featuring the on-screen reunion of West Wing co-stars Allison Janney and Bradley Whitford. The new season follows Kerry Russell's Kate Weiler as she navigates scandal, shifting loyalties, and a push towards vice presidency. The Emmy-nominated drama returns this fall.
Jeremiah.
Prime Video released the trailer for the 3rd and final season of The Summer I Turned Pretty. The last chapter finds Belly fresh off her junior year of college, planning a sun-soaked summer in Cousins Beach with her soulmate Jeremiah, until her first love, Conrad, comes back and throws everything into question. The hit teen drama returns for its final bout July 16th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of 5 cheetah cubs just born at the St. Louis Zoo. Let's make it a great tomorrow.